distracting. Hey friends, I apologize for it being like 3 weeks since I posted a video, but we're back on schedule, okay? We are back and we have books to discuss. Specifically, the books that are coming out in 2022 that I am most excited for. There's so many good ones coming out. Well, I think they're good. I don't actually know. Yeah, if you like the books that I like, add these to your TBR. I will link my Goodreads down below if you want to see like what I'm reading in real time, what books that I'm saving. And for anyone new here, I mostly read romances, rom-coms, and thrillers. Starting off with a book that I've already read that's already released because it's February, hello. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Obviously, I have to start it off with the Queen Colleen Hoover. You guys know I'm obsessed with her. I need to do an entire video on the ultimate guide to Colleen Hoover books because I've read every single one of her books. This is the newest release. This just came out in January. It's also available on Kindle Unlimited. This is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books of all time, and I've read them all. Obviously, without giving anything away, this book is about a girl named Kenna. She served 5 years in prison. She just got released, and she's basically trying to get her daughter back, but nobody wants her to actually reunite with her daughter. But there is one guy in the town. He's actually a local bar owner, and he has a connection to her daughter. So we get to see that play out and kind of the struggle, the conflict between these characters on, does she have a right to be in her daughter's life? Whose decision really is it? Is she this horrible, awful person that she's been made out to be? But that's why I just love to read Colleen Hoover's books because they always deal with such thought-provoking scenarios and real-life stories. It's just such a beautiful book, and we also get a love story throughout this, so it just has everything. And I will say, if you've also lost someone close to you, this will definitely hit home, I feel like, in a different sense. Definitely was my most anticipated read of the year by far because like anything Colleen Hoover releases, I need. I love this book so much that I made it my book club's March book of the month. So I mean, like, if you want to read this book and you want to discuss it with some awesome people and myself, I will link my book club below. The next book I am so freaking excited for. I had no idea this was coming until recently, and I am like freaking out, but this is called Love on the Brain. You guys, this is the Love Hypothesis book 2. I don't even know what that means. Unfortunately, we gotta wait a little bit. This one isn't expected to come out until August. So while this is considered the Love Hypothesis number 2, I don't actually think this is a sequel to that book because it doesn't seem like there's gonna be any character crossovers, but it is kind of a STEM romance. So I think that's why it's technically in the same series because it's a similar topic. But I am interested to see if we will get Olive and Adam in this book because maybe they'll make an appearance. This one's about a girl named Bee. Hello. A little smarter than I am. She is a neuroscientist, but she's apparently a neuroscientist who gets assigned to co-lead a NASA project with this guy named Levi, who's a grumpy engineer. So like, I am dying. Kind of like the grumpy guy. I don't know why, like Brendan from It Happened One Summer, he was just delicious. Like, why am I into grumpy guys? I don't know. Apparently she has a little bit of a past with this guy, so we get a little bit of an enemies to lovers trope, which is one of my favorites. But apparently they're considered like the alt version of Olive and Adam. I am so obsessed with. I am so here for this. Like, sarcasm and steam might be my new favorite duo. Speaking of Allie Hazelwood, she's also, I gasped when I saw this on Goodreads, she's coming out with STEM novellas. I think it's called the STEMinist series. Are you kidding? So each novella follows a different one of these best friends. So we get Mara, Sadie, and Hannah, and we also get their romances, and they're all STEM related, which is adorable. These novellas started also as a fanfic, so she decided to expand them. But I honestly can't wait to read these because I love throwing in novellas, especially when after I read like a big heavy book or a thriller or something that's super, super long and I just need something like quick. It's like a nice palate cleanser, you know what I mean? Cannot wait. Switching this up to a thriller, you guys, I'm dying. This one sounds so good. This one's called The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. You may be familiar with this author if you've read The Sundown Motel, but this one honestly sounds more exciting to me. This one, you guys, is about a true crime blogger, so I'm already just, I'm in. I am in. So she interviews this woman who is acquitted from like 2 cold case slayings, but as she grows closer to this woman, she starts being like, okay, something is off, something is not right, and she starts questioning like, am I befriending a manipulative murderer? Or are there other dangers that she's not expecting that are in this house? I am expecting a wild ride, okay? I love, it sounds very Riley Sager to me, and I love his thrillers. Speaking of Riley Sager, another thriller I am super excited for is his new release, which is called The House Across the Lake, and this one's anticipated to come out in July. This one's about a recently widowed actress who is trying to escape all of the bad press in her life, so she retreats and runs off to her old like family's house in Vermont, like a cabin. Sounds creepy, sounds fun. And I'm just now realizing that like all of Riley Sager's books, at least all the ones that I've read, all take place in the East Coast. So if you live over there, I feel like this would be extra creepy and eerie. Yeah, she passes time by creeping on the neighbors across the lake, hence the title. This like glamorous couple who seems super perfect, but she actually befriends the woman, and after, you know, getting to know her more and also watching them secretly, she starts to realize they're not actually as perfect as they seem, especially because one day the woman goes missing. So obviously she becomes like consumed in trying to figure out what actually happened to her friend. And with any Riley Sager book, I mean, there's so many twists and turns. Definitely not a new topic by any means. This one reminds me a lot of Rear Window, Disturbia, The Woman in the Window, also the new like satire one with Kristen Bell. So I'm excited to see how he makes this unique and puts his signature twist on this, because this definitely is not a new concept by any means. I am so unwell. So unwell. One of my favorite reads of last year was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, and there might be a second book. When I say maybe, I mean there's absolutely gonna be a second one, and it's called The American Roommate Experiment. We also have to wait until August for this one. Unless you want to send me it. But if you haven't read The Spanish Love Deception yet, absolutely read it. It's about a girl named Lena and Aaron Blackford. We get a fake dating trope. You wouldn't know by looking at the cover. Lightly they are deceiving. All these cartoons in like happy colors. No, it is steaming. The way Aaron surprises you, that's all I'm gonna say. So this second book actually follows Lena's best friend Rosie and also Lena's older cousin Lucas, who we both get in A Spanish Love Deception like a little bit of. So I'm so excited to get more of them in their own book. Oh yeah, actually I take back everything I said. I was completely lying to you. This isn't a sequel. What am I saying? This is considered a standalone, so you do not have to read The Spanish Love Deception to enjoy this book. But obviously, what are you doing if you don't read The Spanish Love Deception first? Because apparently the author said that Aaron and Lena are gonna make some appearances. So I love a good crossover. This book takes place a little bit after the epilogue in that book. We get lots of forced proximity, we get a secret crush, a dating experiment, hello love, and some hot steamy showers. Okay, sold. If you've been following my Instagram, like where I've been reviewing my books on my stories for the past couple of years, I started reading mostly in 2020, and I was reading like all thrillers. And one of the author duos that I discovered that I absolutely loved, and I read all of their books, I only have like 3 or 4, is Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekanen. First read An Anonymous Girl, and then I read You Are Not Alone and The Wife Between Us. The Wife Between Us is my favorite. It's so good if you like twisty thrillers. They're always in like part 1, part 2, part 3, and there's always kind of like a cliffhanger plot twist at the end of each part, and just keeps you like, they're such bingeable books, which is why I love them. And when I posted about them on my stories in, I think like 2020, Sarah Pekanen actually reached out to me and she's like, I love your reviews. I would love to send you our new book when it comes out. So needless to say, I screamed, and lo and behold, I got the golden couple. Absolutely freaked out, you guys. This is the first arc I've ever gotten, so it's gonna hold a very special place in my heart, especially because it's one of my favorite authors. This one comes out, let's see, March 8th, 2022. Luckily, we do not have to wait too long for this, but this book follows Matthew and Marissa Bishop. They seem like the perfect golden couple until they basically seek out a therapist. Well, Marissa does, because she is unfaithful to Matthew, and she really wants to fix their marriage because they have an 8-year-old son. We get dual point of view in this book, not from Matthew and Marissa, but we get Marissa and the therapist Avery, and she's kind of unconventional in her practices. She lost her professional license due to her quirky ways, maybe like going a little too far, but it makes for an interesting story. But what we realize throughout this book, through both the sessions and also just their daily lives, that there are a lot of secrets. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Like all of their past books, this one definitely kept me on my toes. I literally could not put this book down. I don't know what they lace in their books and their writing, because I can never put these down. I definitely picked up on some things earlier on, but there were also some twists that I didn't see coming, which I absolutely love. So if you like a good mystery thriller, yeah, The Golden Couple's where it's at. Something that I'm really getting into this year is to finally dive into the series that I've been putting off. One of the series that I've heard so many people talk about on Book Talk is the Twisted series. I think that's what it's called. I have yet to read the first 2, so I honestly can't even say if they're good, but I am still excited for Twisted Hate, which is the 3rd book. Apparently with these books, you can read them as standalones. You don't have to read them as a series, but I definitely am just gonna read these in order because like, why not? And this one I think already came out in January, but I tend to go into my books, especially series, pretty blindly just because I like to be surprised and taken on a ride. But all I know about this one is it's either about a brother's best friend or a best friend's brother. My best friend's brother, my best friend's brother. Oh my god, memory and song unlocked. shocked. What a freaking bop. But it's one of those and also enemies to lovers. So I am so freaking here for this. I love both of those tropes. I'm in. Oh my God. This book I was able to get an advanced copy on my Kindle and I binged this so fast. This was the last book that I read in 2021. So I did rate it in my 2021 reads wrap up video because I had to. So this is the sequel to It Happened One Summer, which is also one of my favorite books that I read last year. I was so pleasantly surprised about this. Again, it's one of those books that you look at the cover and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like cute and quirky and whatever. No, I mean, yes, but also so freaking steamy, like one of the steamier books that I've read. So for all of you who always ask me for steamy book recs, which I do plan on doing a spicy book recs video, but I feel like I need to read more of them to like really give you a good guide, you know what I mean? Let me do the research for you, but definitely read that one because it is good. Chapter 16 is also fire. And also, if you haven't read that book, Piper, the main character, is inspired by Alexis from Schitt's Creek. This sequel follows her sister Hannah and also Fox, which is Brendan's best friend, which is the love interest in the other one. But I absolutely love this book. This one's a friends to lovers trope, so it's a little bit more of a slow burn than It Happened One Summer. And we also get close proximity, which love. We still get some spice in this one, but I would say like not as much, or you gotta kind of work for it. I love this book so much. I definitely need to read more Tessa Bailey this year. So if you have any other recs that I need to read from Tessa Bailey first, please let me know some specific ones in the comments below. I think the only other mystery thriller that I have on my list is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This one comes out in February, but this is by the same author as The Guest List, which is the only other book that I've read from her, but I really liked that book. I feel like you either kind of love it or think it's super boring. Honestly, I thought it was pretty boring and super slow up until the 3/4 mark. And then I was like, all right, this is getting good. And then after that point, I flew through it and then I understood why you had to meet so many characters and all of that stuff. But I loved the setting of that book. It was more of a mystery than a thriller. Definitely just like a good suspense that takes you on a ride and you're just constantly like, okay, where is this going? So I know it's not for everyone, but I still am really excited about this book in particular because I mean, hello, a Paris apartment. This book is apparently about a girl named Jess who calls up her half-brother Ben and she's like, hey, I want to stay with you at your Paris apartment. I need to escape. So like, I'm gonna crash. Bro, when she shows up, she's like, wow, this is a really nice place, but also where the hell are you? Yeah, I guess he's not there. She starts to, you know, do a little digging, trying to figure out where the heck he is. And she starts asking the other residents in the building, the neighbors, and she starts to realize pretty much everyone has a secret. Everyone is suspicious. Sign me the fuck up. The concept of this reminds me a lot of Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. If you've read that, that's like about like an apartment sitter in New York and basically shit goes down in that building and that is a wild ride. That book kept me up at night. You need to read that one. So it reminds me of that, but also Only Murders in the Building if you've watched that. So absolutely yes, I will be reading this. One of my favorite author duos, Christina Lauren, is releasing a new book and I could not be more excited. This one has such a unique like setting, plot, story. I don't know. It seems very interesting. So I'm excited, but it's called Something Wilder. But this one's apparently about a girl named Lily who is a daughter of a notorious treasure hunter father. And he was also pretty absent in her life. And she doesn't really want anything to do with it, but I guess she is doing something related to this. Listen, I don't know much. But basically her old love, Leo, comes back into the picture and he kind of wants to reconnect with her. And she's like, absolutely not. So we get a second chance trope, which is one of my favorites. That is so hard to say. A second chance trope. According to all of the reviews of people who got advanced copies of this book, it's really like a mix of genres and apparently it's just a really unique concept. Like we get an action-packed Western mixed with a rom-com. This is probably like as close to a Western as you're gonna see me read. Okay, I have two more books that I'm excited for. One of them is Running Wild, which is the third book in the Wild series by K.A. Tucker. This one also came out in January, but I've heard just so many good things about this series, so I'm absolutely gonna be reading them. This one sounds so similar to It Happened One Summer, at least based on the summary. The synopsis is it's about a girl who goes back to her Alaskan hometown to kind of reconnect with her father. It also seems like it's kind of in the wilderness, so it's going to be way different from where she lives in Toronto, which I think is where she's from. And also she meets this guy named Jonah who works for her father and he seems grumpy. He seems like a Brendan where he's like, this girl is in way over her head. What is she doing here? She's not going to survive out here. Like, this is absolutely not her scene. Go back home. And I mean, doesn't that sound exactly like It Happened One Summer? I'm so excited. Probably not gonna be spicy, but that's okay. I don't only read spice. But I'm intrigued that this is a series and how if they connect to each other or if they're all just kind of similar storylines. I'm really not sure, but because there is a third one and everybody talks about this series, I just absolutely have to read it. The last book I am specifically very excited to read this year is Motel by Penelope Douglas. And I actually don't know anything about this book. There is no cover release. There's no summary. So why am I excited for this? Well, because of the speculations about this book. So the only two books I've read from Penelope Douglas thus far are Birthday Girl and Punk 57, and I will say they're both very spicy. I read Birthday Girl first, and I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of slow. I didn't really love the setting of this book. I thought it was just kind of, I wasn't like that excited, but the steam and the storyline of her falling for her boyfriend's dad was very intriguing to me, so obviously I had to read it. However, there is a character I think is introduced near the end of Birthday Girl named Danny, and allegedly this book Motel is about Danny's love story, because at the end of Birthday Girl, I actually didn't read this or read the acknowledgements, but apparently she said that Danny will get her own love story. People believe that this book is going to be about Danny because she has a tie to the Blue Palms Motel, and this book is called Motel, but this will be a standalone contemporary romance. So this isn't like you have to read Birthday Girl first to read this one. And honestly, I don't even know if I recommend reading Birthday Girl. It's really spicy. But was it like a great book? I think I rated it like a 3-star, but I do want to read more books from Penelope Douglas this year because a lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. But those are my top picks for new books that are coming out in 2022 that I cannot wait to read. So I'm adding these all to my TBR. I will again link my Goodreads down below if you want to see all of the books that I'm reading currently and I've read in the past and what I rate them. But I need to know what books I'm missing. Like what books are coming out this year that are from your favorite authors or series that I haven't even read yet that I absolutely need to add to my list. So please let me know in the comments below, and also let me know of these, which ones you're most excited to read this year. That is it for me today, guys. Stay tuned. I got some vlogs coming, some organization videos, and also some more book content. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah!